Serpico, Illinois, and a cable car disaster are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is February 3rd, 2022. It is the 34th day of the year. There are 331 days left in this year. It's the 5th Thursday in the 6th week and the 45th day of winter. We got 45 days left until spring. If today's your birthday, you're an Aquarius, and you were maybe born on National Missing Persons Day. It might be a surprise to learn that every day in the United States, approximately 2,300 people are reported missing. That is an alarming stat, and it makes you think that people are being snatched up off the street, at the rate of 2,300 a day. But really, a lot of people go missing on their own, like they're getting away from a situation. I forget the exact numbers, but it's something like 75% of the people reported missing will turn up within a year. And a good percentage of them turn up within like 48 or 72 hours after the report of them missing. That doesn't diminish the fact that it is a terrible situation, especially if you're a family of someone that is missing. All right, let's see what else February 3rd has given us. 1690, the colony of Massachusetts issues the first paper money in the Americas. 1787, a militia led by General Benjamin Lincoln crushes the remnants of Shays' Rebellion in Petersham, Massachusetts. 1793, Spain and the United States relations are first established. Yeah, they didn't recognize us till 1783. The Shays' Rebellion was a series of violent attacks on courthouses and other government buildings in Massachusetts that began in 1786 and led to a full-blown military confrontation in 1787. Now, this is the deal. The rebels were all ex-Revolutionary War soldiers that had turned farmers like everyone else did back then. They weren't too happy with the economic policies of the state of Massachusetts because they were all living in poverty, and properties were being seized by banks through foreclosure. The rebellion was named after a farmer named Daniel Shays. He was also a soldier during the Revolutionary War that fought at Bunker Hill, and he was one of the several leaders for this insurrection. The soldiers that did fight in the Revolutionary War usually didn't make it home with much money, if any at all. A lot of them ended up coming back in debt, and in most cases their farms were in bad shape because they had been gone and maybe they had a wife and some kids trying to keep their farm together. It wasn't a pretty picture. And then when they had raised the taxes so high in Massachusetts, the farmers kind of noticed that they were now paying more in taxes to Massachusetts than they ever did to the British. The farmers did try and settle things in court and do things peacefully, but the system was kind of rigged against them. The first incident happened in Northampton. Captain Joseph Hines led several hundred men to block judges from entering the courthouse so they couldn't conduct business and foreclose on more homes. Eventually, several hundred more farmers showed up with rifles and kind of occupied this courthouse. The same thing happened in Worcester. There, the government called in the militia and they refused to show up. The ones that did show up kind of joined the crowd that was occupying the courthouse. One thing leads to another, and Massachusetts legislature offered leniency and flexibility to those that had serious tax burdens. Amnesty was also offered to the rebels if they disavowed efforts to close the courthouse, and farmers were expected to take an oath of allegiance to the state government. While they were thinking about doing this, they found out that the legislature also passed a bill excusing sheriffs from responsibility if they killed insurgents and declaring harsh punishment for rebels in custody. And then another bill prescribed the death penalty for militiamen who took part in the protests. Now, up to this point, these were just armed people taking over courthouse, and no one was really getting killed or anything like that. In late January of 1787, Shay and about 1,200 men decided they were going to break into the Springfield arsenal and get some weapons because they knew it was time to fight. Well, when they got there, the arsenal was ready for them. They knew they were coming, and they gave them some warning shots. But eventually they started firing at the rebels, which killed 2 of them and wounded 20. After this skirmish, the rebels retreated to Vermont and kind of scattered from that point. Shay went on to live in New York with his wife and child and became pretty much a local celebrity and a tourist attraction. He died in 1825 and was laid to rest in an unmarked grave. 1809, the territory of Illinois is created by the 10th United States Congress. 1945, World War II, the United States and the Philippine Commonwealth begin a month-long battle to retake Manila from Japan. 1971, New York police officer Frank Serpico is shot during a drug bust in Brooklyn and survives to later testify against police corruption. The New York City Police Department was extremely corrupt back then. I mean, a lot of people might say they're corrupt now, but it was at a boiling point in the 1970s. And Frank Serpico, who was a new cop, kind of saw what was going on, and he wasn't down with it, and they tried to kill him. In December of 1971, Serpico testified before the Knapp Commission and basically was a whistleblower. When it was all said and done, he got the Medal of Honor from the New York City Police Department. And sadly, since he basically ratted out a bunch of cops, he said there was no ceremony or anything like that. They just slid it to him over a desk like they were giving him a package of some sort. He eventually moved to Europe and lived there for quite some time until his girlfriend there died of cancer, and he moved back to the United States in 1980. I just read last year that his only son, Alexander, died of a drug overdose in May of last year. Frank Serpico is still alive, and he's 85 years old. 1984, Dr. John Buster and a research team at Harbor UCLA Medical Center in the United States announced history's first embryo transfer from one woman to another, resulting in a live birth. That hospital's not too far away from where I grew up, and if someone was rushed to that hospital, they're in bad shape, because that's where you go in that area if you've got some serious damage done to you. 1998, the Cavalice cable car disaster. A United States military pilot causes the death of 20 people when his low-flying plane cuts the cable of a cable car near Trento, Italy. 2014, 2 people are shot and killed and 29 students are taken hostage at a high school in Moscow, Russia. Premiered on February 3rd, 2019. Hannah. If you've never seen this show, it's pretty good. It's on Amazon Prime. It's about a dad who's like this CIA type assassin guy. Well, his partner, a female assassin for the CIA, she gets pregnant. They have a kid, she dies, and the dad retreats to the wood with their daughter and basically turns her into a teenage weapon. And it's pretty interesting of how people are trying to get a hold of her. People are trying to get a hold of her dad. They're trying to kill him. All this weird stuff goes on. It's a lot of suspense. It's a lot of action. If you ever get a chance, watch it. I watched the first 2 seasons. I haven't watched the 3rd season yet, and I'm not sure if this is their last season or what, but I'm going to watch it. It's a really good show. Born on February 3rd, 1939, Michael Cimino. He's a great director. He is an American film director responsible for one of the best dramatic works of the 1970s, The Deer Hunter. He won the Academy Award for Best Director for that movie. He graduated with a Master's of Fine Arts in Painting from Yale University in 1963. He directed Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, which was a really good movie in 1974, followed up with The Deer Hunter, which was his big blockbuster, Academy Award, everything. But then he did this one called Heaven's Gate in 1980, and it flopped, and that kind of killed his career. He did this movie called Year the Dragon with Mickey Rourke, which was decent, but not much after that. Michael Cimino died on July 2nd, 2016, at age 77 at his home in Beverly Hills, California. No cause of death was ever disclosed to the public. Died on February 3rd, 2020, Gene Reynolds. Probably don't know who he was, but he was a television writer, director, and producer who co-produced the iconic TV series MASH. He was born in Cleveland, Ohio, but grew up in Detroit, Michigan with his family. He received 24 Emmy nominations for his writing, directing, and producing of the television series MASH and Lou Grant. Gene Reynolds died 2 years ago today of heart failure. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, be nice to each other.